Good afternoon. Welcome to the shop. Alright, weather's getting warm. Time to get this 650 in its home. This old X2 Kawasaki Jetski. Weather's getting nice. Time to make this seaworthy. Put her back in the water. Get her running. So now we're just gonna do reverse. We're gonna do an install process. Hopefully it goes without a hitch. Basically, tighten everything up, make sure everything is good to go for this summer. Alright, so I got her on the hoist. I mean, even with two guys, it could get a little funny just because of your angles, fighting each other. The hoist is the way to go. It's not the heaviest engine, but why fight it? Alright, the tricky part is getting the coupling in, the dampener, which is this rubber piece. It goes between the prop shaft and the motor shaft. And that could be a little tricky to line them up. So, let's get her in there. And then as we get the motor in, hopefully we get her lined in pretty good. It's hard to eyeball it because it's a little bit of an optical illusion how it goes. It's like a flower. Alright, let's start lowering it in and see how we get. Got all the wires, taped up and tucked out of the way, and the hoses. The hoist brings it in so nice. And you want to keep the carburetor off, the exhaust off. Makes for a much easier removal and install. Okay, let's keep going. Got to get that tuck in there. Okay, we're just about on the mounts. Get this as far forward as possible. And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to basically lower it all the way, get the weight of the motor on the hull and the mounts, and then we'll muscle her in and get the prop shaft lined up to the crankshaft. Let's go, all the way. Okay, we're down, we're down, we're down and in. Easy peasy. The engine hoist just makes it a piece of cake. No mistakes, nothing crushed, no fingers, no knuckles. Yeah, strap out of the way. Okay, get it out of the way here. Move the camera there. Alright, now I got to get this motor slid back. And if you could see, I got to try to get her into that coupling back there. I don't know if you could really see it. See if I get a light on it for you guys. Okay, so it's right here. This prop shaft coupling. We got to line it up with that rubber piece into the... I call it a Lovejoy. That's what they're called when they're on tractors and hydraulic systems. Called a Lovejoy for some reason. I don't know how much love or joy you really get from those things, but I think that's a company name that just stuck. Let's see how we line up here. Alright, so we got our 4 motor mounting bolts. I'm going to use some blue thread locker. These big guys with the washer and the lock nut. These motor mount bolts are 11/16. And the best way to get to these motor mount bolts is with a swivel on the end of the socket on most of them. Alright, the engine's bolted in. Now I want to go over a little hosing roadmap with you guys, because there's a lot of hoses in this engine. And I want to get them as I go. That way I don't bury too much and make it hard on myself. So I want to try to do a quick little rundown of what hoses go where, while you could see a little better. First we'll start with this back hose that's going through the transom and out. This is going to go to the back of the exhaust pipe. See, there's the exhaust pipe. It's going to go right here. And you want to hook that up before you set the pipe in, just so you don't have trouble fitting your hands in after. Then down low, you're going to have a fatter tube coming in, going out the same area, out the transom back there. That's going to go right here. Right there, up under this exhaust manifold. Right? And then you have this coming in the side of the exhaust manifold. And that comes right off the side of the hole right here. That's an easy one. Okay, what else can we see from here? We could see the oil pump feed line. That comes around. And it's easy to see while the carb is off. That comes around and goes in under the carburetor right here to the intake manifold. Alright, and then coming out of your whole bundle here of hoses coming from the fuel tank and the oil tank, your one hose that you're going to have unplugged since you took the engine out, right here is going to go to the top nipple on the carburetor. So from this spider of hoses, the only one that's not hooked up is going to go to the top nipple on the carburetor. The top one. You have two nipples. And then from the fuel pump, your fuel pump is right here on the side. The top hose actually goes to the bottom of the carburetor. So the top hose from your fuel pump goes to the bottom nipple on your carburetor. You only have the two nipples there, top and bottom. And then what's left? Finally, we have from the bottom of your fuel pump, there's a hose, and that's going to go to your intake manifold. Right here, this nipple right here is going to go right here. And that's from the bottom of your fuel pump to right here. So that's all your hoses. So I'm going to get a couple hooked up, the ones that I can hook up right now, just like the oil ones hooked up. And then I'll come back, and I guess we'll do the electrical maybe? Oh no, then we'll do the carburetor. So let me get these hoses in, the ones I can, and then we'll do the carburetor. Okay, let's go over the carburetor situation. So I bought the more updated carburetor, but there are some slight differences. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to modify anything for it to work. Hopefully not. But let me show you the differences. Obviously this is the old rusted piece of junk. This is a nice fresh water carburetor. It's easy to find an aftermarket, but I don't trust those. So I wanted a factory one, but this style only lasted a couple years, and then they went to this style. So it has the nipples on the opposite side. This has the nipples and all your controls on the same side here. This has the nipples on the opposite side, on the back side. I mean, that's not a problem. That's just hose hookups. But these controls are a little bit positioned a little different. Like this pulls up to work. On the other one, it pulled down. And this pulls from a slightly different angle. So I'll have to see if I got to make a bracket or redirect those throttle cables to make this work. But I'm going to pop this carburetor on. and then see what I got to do to make it work. Hopefully nothing, but that's my next step. Alright, so here's your difference on the carburetor. It's really not that bad. So normally your carburetor would be facing this way. On this one you're just going to flip it around like that, which is great that it still fits right on. So if I lift this off, you can see the two hoses go into the back. My linkages go in the same place. The lower linkage is fine. That pulls right up with the throttle. I pull the throttle, lifts it right up. The choke goes upward like that instead of down. So the only thing I might do when I put the rest of the airbox on, I might just make a little bracket come out for this, just to stiffen it, and that'll be done. And what's better about this carburetor is all the adjustments are on this side. The way it was before, the adjustments are on the back, which makes it impossible to adjust it. So I'm going to clean this case up, get the airbox on, see if I make a little bracket for this, and then we'll move on to the exhaust and the wiring. Alright, so that bracket's done. Let me come over here and show you. I just bent a little piece of galvanized steel right there. So now I got throttle on the bottom working up, and then I got the choke on the top. As you can see it going right there. Nicey nice. So if you do gotta get a carburetor from the 90s to the early 2000s, don't be scared. It's really nothing. You might just have to bend that little bracket, and that's it. Everything else works. I was going to go over some of the wiring. But basically, if you unplugged it, it goes back the same way. Everything's pretty much color-coded and easy. The last two wires are the battery, when we get up to that. So now, we'll do the exhaust system. Alright, so from the manifold here, we got 3 hoses that are going to get connected. There, this hose, and this hose. This is your part here. I didn't bother taking this apart, I didn't have to. Get this right back on. Clean off this gasket a little. Gasket's still okay. I mean, it's exhaust. You really don't have to change it. It is water cooled, does have water going around it, but it's a thick, hardy gasket here, so if it's in good shape, use it. It's like a rubberized gasket. That, let's see, I'd like to get this hose hooked up before I get back there. So let's hook this hose in here, quick. Okay, that, gasket back up. This is a tight fit, yeah. Oh, there we go. I think I got it. Got it. Make sure we didn't hurt that hose. Okay, we're good. Line up our screws here. You got 3 screws in the top. Screw here. Don't forget this guy because he kind of squeezes through here. This is your water release for the crankcase. It's a weird thing to me. Let's see how this goes on here. Strange how this works. Okay. This guy on here. Where the gasket's lined up. See, this hose is no good, so we're going to change this hose right here after the bolt is done. These 3 fatty bolts here. Alright, so these are a 14. Then we'll starting. I don't want to go super snug, so I want to make sure we get this guy. Yep, not end bolt. My bad. My bad. That. Let's snug up these other bolts up here again. What do I do with the freaking socket up here? It's weird. Oh, here it is. Get them all close to snug and then go back around and snug them up tight. He's nice and tight. Got water passages coming around. We don't want them back flowing into the crankcase, you know. And this hose over here goes into the side right there. Right here. Make sure we're not messed up. A little crummy, so I'm going to cut this. Use a fresh end on it. That. Okay. This goes out. For some reason I'm seeing like electrical tape over here. Hopefully it's not a hole or something that somebody just covered up. Oh, I think that's to protect against the heat, against the pipe over there. That comes out over here. Alright. I'm gonna get a new hose for here. Get the rest of the exhaust system, we'll get that in, and the fuel tank and the oil tanks. Alright, now we got the tight finicky stuff here, the exhaust. Make sure you can kind of see most of this here. Alright, if these black rubbers usually fall off when you take the exhaust out. Throw a little silicone on the back, stick them down, hook these straps up out of the way, up through the fill holes. And then, let's get this guy kind of started here. Exhaust boot here. Tuck this bad boy in here. Like that. So one leg's gonna sit on the rubber. The other leg gonna sit on this other rubber. We're gonna get this hose connected here. Like that. This hose goes in here. Wow, actually not bad, huh? Okay, so it's a matter of getting the right geometry now, because see how crooked and twisted this is here? It's got to fit in like nice and straight here. Okay. There you go. Make sure your boots are on together. There you go. Boots are on. Slide this guy a little over there, like that. Okay. These are our straps here. These just clip on here. Like that. There you go. Alright, now let's tighten all these hose clamps up before I forget. We got this guy here. Okay. This guy I never loosened. Got this guy here. Oh, I want to get this guy down here. Okay, this guy. And then we got a couple right here for the big boy here. Snug both sides a little bit, make sure they're good, and then we'll tighten them up fully. Okay, gas and the oil tank. Alright, now we got the fuel and the oil tanks. Same thing, got your rubbers here. If they're moving around, throw a little silicone underneath them and stick them in. The tanks are nice and clean, degreased, got all that old varnish out of them. Alright, these, the fill, you want to keep them loose. Make it a lot easier for you to connect everything. Oil fill, fuel fill. So we'll get the rubber on top of the fuel tank. That's going to go up to the fill. Get that on there. Get a rag and just make sure it's clean in there. Okay. Make sure we got our hose clamps on. Feed this guy in. Pop it right where it belongs. I already put a new hose on the oil pump intake side. That way we're not fighting that. Alright, this guy's in. Lined up there. Let's make sure that our fill is going to be able to snap into the hose. And you want it snapping good. Make sure you got enough meat, not just like barely in there, you know. Well, you get your hose clamps on both things nicely, you know. Okay, we'll lift it up a little bit. Like that. There you go. That's good. Good fit there. Then we got our oil side. Same thing. Get our clamps on here. This actually gets this rubber piece, Swiss cheese, like that, in between. Same thing. Alright, here's where we're at. Got the gas and the oil tank all nice and cleaned out with degreaser, no varnish or gook in there. Got them twisted into place. The trick is to keep these Phillips bolts here loose on all these. That way when you squeeze these in with their fittings, their hose fittings here, you're not fighting them. They can slide up and in. You push these down on, then you screw these in. Tighten your hose clamps there and you won't be fighting it. One thing here, you have this strap. Before you put this gas tank in, make sure you get this one side hooked up or you're going to be crying after. But worst case, if you forget to hook it up, don't try to reach in through here. Reach in through, if you have a small hand, you will be able to get it from the back here. Worst comes to worst and you already tightened all this and you don't want to take it all back apart, you'll be able to get the strap from behind the oil tank. Okay? And then leave the battery tray out till you get your straps on, because that makes it a lot easier. So you have this strap, you have that piece of rubber with the holes in it. It goes in between the oil tank and the fuel tank. I have my battery just in place. I'm gonna strap that down somehow since this didn't have a strap. All these hoses were already intact, none of them are broken. This check valve is gonna go there. This is gonna go here. I'm leaving it loose right now just in case any residual moisture in there will dry up before I close it up. Alright, now we're gonna do the spark plugs. I'm not gonna hook the battery up till last. I've had it on the trickle charge this whole time. It's brand new. So obviously we don't need that hooked up right now. But I'm gonna take some 2-stroke oil with this little fillet top, and I'm gonna put a couple drops in each cylinder head. Because this motor is bone dry, hasn't been started in a long time, so I'm gonna put a little bit in each cylinder. So when we do crank it, we're not cranking a dry engine. So we put a couple drops in each cylinder here. Don't be afraid to get it in there, because it'll just seep through and go into the crankcase anyway, like it's designed. Then we're going to put a couple new plugs in. These are AC Delco R43XLS. So we'll get these in, get our wires on. I'm going to close this hood area up. And that's about it for today. Then we're just about to start it. Next thing before we start it, we're going to polish her up. We're going to get new rubbers on the sides here. I got some new rubber for there. And then this is seized like hell. This fuel knob. The on-off for the fuel, look at it. It's corroded like the Titanic. So I got a new one of those. That was tough to find. So we're going to try to change that, because I know these screws that hold this on are stripped. So we're going to work on changing that. I printed a new handle with the 3D printer, because there's so many varieties and sizes of this. It's like, it was so much easier for me to just make one. And we're probably going to print some new bumpers up, and then we're going to start her up. So after this, one more video and we'll be in the water. Alright guys, see you next time. Thanks. Peace.